In this video we get a guided tour around the Ulster Aviation Society, which is at Long Kesh in Northern Ireland. We had an absolutely great day out and I filmed just about everything. I want to thank our guide Alex for the fascinating tour. Do bear in mind the Society only does pre-arranged tours, but if you do get the chance when you're in Northern Ireland, don't miss it. The link to their website is in the video description below. I really want to thank Denise as well. She drove us there. She looked after Poppy whilst we went around. So let's get on with the video.
I thought it was the same guy for a minute. How did he get up here?
Stirling Bomber.
Stirling Bomber wheel.
So to give you an idea.
Oh yeah, they were very tall bombers, weren't they? Yeah.
Now, if you look at the board, there were 3 that were actually built here, but then there was a lot that were assembled here.
Right.
The total number built at the very top, there's none surviving anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Okay. 18,000 missions.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the 3 that were actually built here, our chairman, Mr. Bombers, he has the details of everything, of all 3, the crews and everything, what happens with them, etc. So,
Load of information there. Yeah. Have a look in the hangar. Wow.
I'll just point, this is RB211 engine.
Yeah.
Would fit on your big Airbuses.
Yeah.
If we just come up here.
Very famous engine. Buccaneer.
The first aircraft, Buccaneer. Now this aircraft dates at the time of the Cold War mainly, from 1962 up to 1994.
Yeah.
And it took part in the first Gulf War. And it was on the aircraft carrier, the old Ark Royal, and I think it was HMS Eagle, designed to go 200 feet above sea level at 650 miles an hour to get under the Russian radar.
Yeah.
Now, most bomb bays, they sort of open up like that, the 2 doors. On this, it's a cylinder, and it
rotates. Yeah.
And it carry nuclear weapon capability. Now, when we have big functions on, we put the hydraulic rig on, and we can raise the undercarriage, open the bomb bay, fold the wings, and the big air brake that's at the back. If you want, you can look in the cockpit.
Have a look.
And if you go on our website, there's a wee video. We used to be at a place called Langford Lodge prior to here, to 2006. When we acquired this flew from this flew from England to RAF Aldergrove, as well, which is Belfast International Airport. They've been developed over the years, and it has a rocket pack.
Yeah.
Now, normally, if it gets the word to eject, you pull that, and it pulls like a hood out in front of his face. If, however, depending on the amount of G-force it's pulling, you can't get your arms up. Hence, so therefore, because your arms are already down here.
Yeah, so you pull there. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, we just pop in through here. Again, the guy who looks after this, he likes his badges. These are just some of them. He's just waiting for more bolts to be
It just hasn't got enough, really, has it?
So we get, donated from various people. Now, and I was talking about the G-forces.
Yeah.
This is the very early
Anti-G. Yeah.
anti-G suit. So you pull G, the blood drains from your head.
Yeah.
So with this would automatically inflate.
Yeah.
And push the blood all back up. Obviously, we've moved on to more sort of modern stuff.
Yeah.
I tell you, Piers Brosnan.
Yeah.
Well, he was here a couple of years ago because one of our aircraft, its serial number is 007.
Okay.
So he was here and he signed.
Yeah.
Sign that. All right.
Look at that.
And he was filming in Northern Ireland, and the film was called The Last Rifleman.
Okay.
And it's a story about an elderly man, veteran, in an old people's home in Belfast. He wanted to go to the Normandy landings.
Yeah, we've seen the film.
We've seen it, haven't we? We
Yeah,
have.
it's a good film.
Yeah, it was good.
Anyway, at the end of the film, if you watch through after the credits, you maybe didn't see it, but at the very end, you see him coming into our hangars in the Jeep and all.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right.
Now, there is a film, same story, set in England, done by Michael Caine, but I can't remember the name of that film.
Right.
They were laying mines in Belfast Lock during the Second World War. They were shot down, and one of the crew escaped, obviously, in the survival dinghy, taken prisoner.
Okay.
And subsequently, it came to us.
Yeah.
As you can see, it's getting a wee bit fragile now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the inflated shader valve there. Yeah, that's quite something, isn't it?
This
Models.
is just some of the memorabilia we have.
Yeah.
The guy who looks after this bit, he has in storage a lot of other uniforms. Every now and again he'll swap them over and get them dry cleaned, etc. He's an interesting guy.
Paddy Finucane. Yeah.
Finucane. He was from Southern Ireland.
Okay.
And he was ostracised, him and his family, because anyone
Yeah.
from Southern Ireland who fought for the British
Yeah.
at that time,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
didn't get a good reception back home. But
No.
yeah, so we get a lot of people from Southern Ireland, and they know the story of him.
Yeah.
Your dad had that model, didn't he? Isn't
What,
that
sorry?
a Lancaster? That?
Yeah, actually got that model.
Yeah, Dad had that.
Yeah. I think we've still got it somewhere. Yeah.
I think you've heard of the Bismarck,
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
German battleship. After it sunk HMS Hood, when it came round the top round Scotland there, the Navy and the RAF, they lost it for a while. It was subsequently found by Catalina Flying Boat, which came from Castle Archdale, Lochern in Fermanagh. Over here. And anyway, they found it, then subsequently it was attacked and destroyed.
Yeah.
But we were just, a couple of years ago, donated the anchor from that
From the
Catalina.
Catalina, okay.
And it had been at high school for many years.
Oh.
Sub-Lieutenant Peter Locke. He's around about 19 years old at this time. He was in the Fleet Air Arm, excuse me, and obviously that's him at the top, left corner. And the squadron after D-Day, because they took part in D-Day, they came here for a bit of rest and training. But I'll talk more about him when we go in the other hangar. So it's just to make you aware of who it is I'm going to be talking about. Now, you're here. This is where
Yeah.
okay, so that's where we used to be, Langford Lodge. And that's now Belfast International Airport. All the little red dots you see, or orange, depending on your eyesight.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I don't know.
Well, these ones here.
Yeah. They're all aircraft that crashed in Northern Ireland during the war. Mainly from either bad weather, mechanical failure, pilot error, or whatever.
Training accidents.
Yeah. The ones that have got numbers, we can go on a database and we can look them all up, tell you exactly everything about that aircraft.
Okay.
We're still in the process of doing other ones.
It's quite a job then.
The guy who was I pointed out to you around the corner,
Yeah. He crashed.
that's where he ended up. This is called Portmore Lock.
Yeah.
So just to make perspective, say there's old Belfast International, Lockney, Portmore Lock.
Yeah.
Now before COVID, there was a aircraft coming back from Spain or somewhere, bringing all the holiday makers back.
Yeah.
The weather wasn't great. He landed here
Yeah.
by mistake.
Oh, right.
Instead of there. But because it has a long rubber, he was able to take
Just as well, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of these airfields, they're not there anymore.
No.
Like, I mean, our one, we've about 200 feet of runway that's because the prison was built on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, during the war, that Langford box, the Americans were based there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
People talk about the Blitz.
Yeah.
They think of obviously London, England.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Belfast, 1941.
Yeah.
This is a German Luftwaffe map.
Yeah.
And all the segments where it's done, this would have been obviously the docks.
Yeah.
The waterworks was over here.
Yeah.
Then there was an aircraft factories that were over this area. But as you can see, it wasn't only those places a bit.
No.
There was over a 4-night period. There was 2,000 people killed and about 2,500 injured. This is a full-size replica.
Yeah.
One of our volunteers made it.
Yeah.
And
they've got the ramps at Duxford, haven't they, for these? Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get out the sun there.
Yeah.
At the time when it was being developed, there was a little cockpit was built into it, and there was a German pilot, female, called Hannah Richt. So she flew it. So they were able to working, for the flying controls for when it was being launched.
Yeah.
So flight bit. And Hannah Richt, she subsequently was called to Hitler's bunker at the end of the war, towards the end of the war, and the plan was for her to fly him out of Berlin.
Yeah. If you can fly one of these things.
Yeah, but he didn't want to go.
No.
So she, anyway, when he died, she made it out through the tunnels with some of the other bigwigs, subsequently taken prisoner, and held for about a year as a prisoner of war, then released.
Yeah.
Now, the people, or the guy, I should say, who developed this and the V2, Heydrich Braun, Von Braun.
When it went on for Apollo.
Yeah. Him and his team, they escaped and they headed for the American lines rather than the Russian lines. And obviously, as you say, they were taken prisoner. Subsequently went on and to start the Saturn rocket was the thing to put them on the moon.
So she must have had a cockpit then.
There was a cockpit here.
Really?
Only a very small one.
Yeah.
And she was a test pilot, you see.
Yeah.
So she was able to fly it, and so they could set up all the flying controls, etc.
Didn't have any landing gear, presumably.
No. Well, the idea was once it ran out of fuel,
It just dived down.
and 2,500 pounds of explosives in the nose.
Yeah.
And they always said as long as you could hear the engine, you were fine.
Yeah.
Once the
when
engine
it stopped.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
My mum used to say about them
Yeah.
how frightening it was.
You'd have this in your dining room.
Yeah.
You'd eat your dinner off it, and then in the evening
You
go
climb under there.
you
Yeah. Good luck to you.
yeah.
Good grief.
Gas mask for a baby. A few years ago, one of our volunteers was driving past a scrap yard, so about the country we bit. Saw this, knew exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It was a rear gun turret.
Yeah.
So he brought it home, had it in his garage, and spent 10 years restoring it.
Wow.
So
And you would sit there.
sit there. That's your lap strap.
Wow.
Legs either side. And obviously, you controlled it with
Yeah.
various other bits
Good
and pieces.
grief. And you'd be sitting in there for hours.
Well,
then.
You'd be
would.
wearing
Yeah.
All that gear.
ignore the parachute because you couldn't
Yeah.
fit in with a parachute.
No.
So
No.
the idea is he got it,
Yeah.
and because that's what could happen to you.
Yeah.
So that's the air ambulance going over, by the way.
Okay. Yeah.
You can
Can
do.
hear it. Yeah.
So he'd be locked in there. Right, he gets the word bail out.
Yeah. He has to climb out of there.
So
Full
he
suit.
can open it, gets out, gets his parachute, which is here.
Yeah.
He would clip it to his chest
Yeah.
and make his way out
Yeah.
if he had time.
If he had time.
At time, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh,
A dangerous job.
This is a target drone. They would be dropped by an
Okay.
aircraft.
Yeah.
And there's a wee motor and be for training with the Seahawk missiles.
Seahawk missiles. Yeah.
They had them on board ships.
Yeah.
And was used a lot in the Falklands War. During the war, there was an awful lot of Polish airmen
Yeah.
and other sort of Czechoslovakians
Yeah. Yeah.
that served in Northern Ireland. We gave them a room, so they had a wee dead little.
Wow.
Get a lot of Polish people visiting.
Yeah.
yes.
So they had their sort of little.
Whole history of Polish forces here. Right, so this is the short.
It was an
short-
experimental aircraft
Yeah.
because they were experimenting in relation to the flight controls. So rather than your ailerons,
Yeah.
part of the wing.
They move the whole wing. Yeah.
And there is a specific name for that. I can never remember it. I have to look at it.
Got the board.
Aeroisoclinic.
Isoclinic. Yeah.
So, I'd say it started life as a glider.
Yeah.
Not very successful, to be honest. So they said, oh, let's take a couple of engines.
As you do.
Again, not very successful. Actually crashed at Aldergrove.
Yeah.
So anyway, the wings are wood.
Yeah.
The fuselage
The intake's there, isn't it, on
Yeah.
the top? Yeah.
So the wings were taken off and burnt, and this ended up in the Imperial War Museum in London.
Okay.
But a few years ago, they contacted and said, listen, we've got this thing in storage. And
You probably didn't know what it was.
It's nothing to do with us. You can have it if you want.
All right.
If you can make use of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, because it's the only one anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we brought it back. You know, we have well, some people call a master joiner, but you don't want them to get too big.
No,
on
no.
it. So he made the wing.
He did a very good job there.
So we get a lot of people say, have we any aircraft that can actually fly? And we do.
Yeah.
We have
Okay.
one that
Okay.
you could still fly tomorrow.
Yeah.
And this is it.
This one here?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Harry Ferguson?
Yeah.
Built tractors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Around about 1909,
He also built aircraft.
he designed and built about 6 aircraft.
Yeah.
Crashed a lot of them. He wasn't very successful, to be honest. Anyway, a few years ago, one of the TV channels, I can never remember if it was BBC or Channel 4, they challenged us. They were going to do a documentary
Yeah.
on it for us to build.
Yeah.
So
And fly it.
and fly it, yes.
Yeah.
And the programme was fronted by a guy called Dick Strawbridge.
Yeah. They crash
Tucano.
yard. Yeah.
Yep, and
Yep.
just somebody chateau with his wife or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, so all the metalwork came from a local sports car company called Crossley's in
Yeah.
Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
All the wood was supplied and done by a boat builder, and all the linen that
Yeah.
came from Ballymena,
Yeah.
big linen.
Yeah.
Now we searched the whole of Ireland to find an engine, the same as just when you head on the propeller.
Yeah.
We found one, but it was on a motorbike and the guy wouldn't let us have it. So this is off a small little aircraft. It's in next door. So
Yeah.
similar sort of engine. But anyway.
Yeah.
And obviously the guy from the CAA came over to
Yeah.
give us an airworthiness certificate.
Oh, good grief.
and yeah, but he only gave it for one flight for insurance purposes.
Yeah.
So we got a pilot, and as you see, you sort of sit on it rather than in it.
Yeah.
And
Fuel tank there.
so so we travelled about. It was a grass airfield.
Yeah.
So he travelled about, took off, flew for about 500 yards at about 100 feet,
Yeah.
and he landed.
Yeah.
When he landed, the skid snapped, and that wheel buckled. Since then, they've been repaired,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's still capable of flying.
Right.
Now we used to take this out to various events at air shows, etc. around Northern Ireland, but it was so much hassle because you have to disconnect all the cables and one
Yeah.
thing and if it's a windy day there, we
Yeah.
don't take it out anymore.
No.
So. Anyway, so
I
if you
see.
and then after the documentary, then they gave it to us.
330.
And just checking the seat when you get there.
All right.
Yeah.
Right, so, Short 330. This aircraft was actually owned by Sir Philip Foreman, who was head of Shorts
Okay.
back in the 60s
Yeah.
and 70s. He was also our very first patron.
Right.
So when he retired, he gave this to us.
Okay.
But this was his own personal one. He flew all around the world in it,
Yeah.
promoting the Shorts aircraft company.
Yeah.
Now, we took the ceiling off because we get a lot of ex-Shorts workers, they come and they say, well, I did all that wiring, I made this.
Yeah.
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 So, as you can see, as well as being a sort of passenger aircraft, you can take all the seats and use it for cargo. That's why
Yeah.
the wide door.
Why yeah. Okay.
Very, very popular in South America because it's short takeoff and landing.
Yeah. So you get your goats in here and everything. Yeah.
And the cartels would use it a lot. Yeah. So anyway, when he retired, he gave it to us. And
Yeah.
I'd say we were at Langford Lodge at the time. So they took the outer wings off and the tail off
Yeah.
and got
And helicopter.
by
in.
a Chinook helicopter.
Yeah.
However, it's got a flat bottom,
Yeah.
the aircraft, and
Yeah.
it started to fly itself.
Oh.
So he had to land and then put it at a different
Goes
angle.
down. Yeah. Well, it's quite spacious in here,
Yeah,
isn't it? Quite
it is.
wide. Yeah.
Back in its day, I mean,
Yeah.
this used to be, you used to start flying over to, obviously there'd be a few more seats
Yeah.
from here to London sort of
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
it was the shuttle.
Yeah.
And then there was the Skyvan, which was slightly small, and then there was the 360, which was slightly bigger, but the same, similar sort of design.
Yeah. Very sort of 70s, isn't it?
A lot of controls in there.
Yeah.
Oh, there's switches.
This belonged to an RAF flight lieutenant who was stationed up at RAF Aldergrove. And anyway, he was going back and couldn't be bothered taking it back with us, so he gave it to us.
Right.
Two-stroke engine on the top. A Wessex.
This is what I would call my baby.
Yeah.
I worked on this actual aircraft in 1979.
Right.
But now it's on
Okay.
72. If you want to
Yeah.
climb aboard,
Westland. Yeah.
just mind your head when you get in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, some nice comfy seats in here.
So this was at the time, it was the workhorse during the Troubles.
Yeah.
And it was here from the beginning and went out of service about 1994.
Okay.
And this one actually, it went back over to England for a short time, but then
Yeah.
we got it back here because of its connection with Norm, having served
Yeah.
for all that time. And normally, the aircrew, the two pilots, they would get in from the outside, the steps on the outside.
Yeah.
But because there's a
they're
big,
up there.
just up there, there's a big metal
Yeah.
armour plate.
Right.
So you can't really open those doors,
No.
the windows. So you'll go up these steps. These seats push up, but we have them tied down because it's too fragile to let people.
Yeah. Sit in them.
Oh,
Yeah, because
not
we
there.
get a lot
Yeah.
of school kids.
Yeah. 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 Climb up there.
Yeah. So this would be used for to carry troops down around the border,
Yeah.
South Armagh, that sort of,
Yeah.
and we'd resupply the watchtowers along the border
Yeah.
and casualty evacuation and
Yeah.
things like that. We used to do training with the cross channel ferries, you know, for
To evacuate. Yeah. Yeah. Monkey at the top there.
Oh yeah.
this was Army Scout.
Okay.
This was used down around South Armagh area. Again, casualty evacuation that was used quite often. And a lot of
So
Polish
that's for the stretcher then, the bubble.
Yeah. And also you could carry, some troops as well.
Yeah.
A lot of Polish visitors say, why do you have the Seraphim of Warsaw? And the reason being, the regiment who flew this, during the war, they were actually on tanks, I believe. And they fought with the 1st Polish Brigade going up through Italy.
Okay.
And so they swapped.
So Monte Cassino and all that.
So
Yeah.
they swapped badges and hence that's the reason. Now,
Right.
we used to have on here a rack of dummy anti-tank missiles. Again, there was small primary school age children coming around. One of the little deers. So we didn't bother putting them back. Now, Canberra bomber. This, in effect, is a spy plane.
Yeah.
So, crew of 2, there'd be the pilot, and there'd be 5 cameras in here. And this aircraft can fly at 80,000 feet, at a height of 60,000 feet, 20 miles away, can read your watch. And this last saw service, 2006 in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
Right.
or over Afghanistan,
Yes,
I should say.
yeah.
We were able to get this with the help of the lottery funding, so
Yeah.
heritage lottery funding.
Radio sets in there.
Now there was a bomber version of it.
Yeah.
And the bomber version had a perspex nose. It was all enclosed with a perspex nose,
Yeah.
and this had a crew of 4. There'd be the pilot, there'd be 2 behind him, and then the guy in the nose.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, the guy in the nose, he didn't have an ejection seat. So he would have to wait for those 3 to eject.
Yeah.
Then he would come out with his normal parachute out. There would be a side door. He'd come out the
And
side.
then
Yeah. Yeah. Could be a nosedive by then, couldn't
Yes, yeah.
it? Yeah.
Next is short Tucano. This was a training aircraft, so it's like the pilots, they would learn to fly before they went on to sort of specialise in jets, for example. So it was a bit like the first car you learned to drive in.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The Kuwaiti Air Force, they still use them. It was based on a Brazilian aircraft. This was another training aircraft. You can also go off aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
But in this one, you sit side by side with the student.
Okay. And that was built. Well, it's been built at Hatfield, I suppose.
Probably, I would have thought so, yeah.
Now,
There's the Buccaneer at the back. Wow. So you get an appreciation of the size of it there, don't you? Yeah.
right, now up until sort of 2020, thereabouts, the RAF didn't donate aircraft to civilian organisations.
No.
The first sort of aircraft we got from the RAF was actually by sort of default, I suppose.
Yeah.
They got around it by giving it to the Nordman Air Training Corps, which was a Puma helicopter.
Yeah.
So we did a deal. We said, we'll keep it, because I had nowhere to store it. We'll keep it, and we'll maintain it if you let us take it out to events that they said so. But then our new patron is now Air Marshal Harvey Smith.
Okay.
And he's obviously in the Ministry of Defence now. But
Yeah.
it's through him and the RAF Heritage aircraft people. So when all the aircraft that go out of service, we now have got a chance. So this is the Jaguar. Again, if you go
GR1.
up the steps, you're feeling brave enough to climb.
Yeah, yeah.
Just mind your head on the canopy there.
Yeah. Wow. Warm in here. You're coming up. Yeah. Oh. That's the
Glad I
heads
don't
up
have to
display
climb in there.
Sorry, what?
I'm glad I don't have to climb in there.
Well, I mean, that's, yeah, a bit more room than that gun turret.
Wow.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. You see all the other planes from up above now.
It's got the RAF Mar.
This one was a training aircraft, so it wasn't involved in combat.
No.
But as I say, it was at Marham, and when it went out of service, it flew from all the RAF bases in the United Kingdom.
Yeah.
And the pilot who flew, he was the last one to fly it, the squad leader Ian Dornan. He's from Northern Ireland. And you know the way the Americans, they all have cool call sign Maverick and Hollywood.
Yeah.
His was Doorknob. Now, when we acquired this, obviously I say it was gifted to us, but we had to pay the transport.
Yeah.
Transport was 20 grand. So one of the volunteers said to Ray, listen, I'll give you the money.
Yeah.
And Ray says, well, don't you need to speak to your wife? Ah, she'll be fine. they are still married. So we acquired this. And if you want, you can get in.
Go on, you go and get in.
Yeah, wow.
Just land your head on the canopy.
Yep. Yeah, that's a long way down.
Just stand on the seat.
Well, yeah.
And then just lower yourself in.
Here we go. Yep. God, get in. Wow.
Now, when we acquired this, we had to wait for the Americans to sign off on it. Because, not that they had anything to do with building it, but a lot of what was in the cockpit was secret and they were still used.
Yeah.
So that was okay. So when we acquired this, there was very little in the cockpit. But we bought it all back off eBay.
Oh, right, wow. Oh, eBay.
All the aircraft were being,
Yeah.
decommissioned, so a little bit of it up on eBay.
Okay, well.
I wonder what. Oh, that's good.
Right,
Okay.
take your camera for it.
That's all right. Yeah, thank you.
You're trapped
Amazing.
in there then?
No, what, sorry?
You're trapped in there.
I was wondering what I was sitting on. That was most uncomfortable. That's the ejection thing, isn't it? Yeah. Oh my goodness, look at that. Yeah. Yeah, quite incredible.
Actually, if you go up, you might get that picture on the other side because the steps will be in.
Yeah, turn it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah. Oh no, it's amazing. But you don't get a whole lot of room in here, do you?
You stick your head up.
Sorry.
Right.
And you'd have a full suit on as well. Good grief. Quite amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose also it's got to be this snug really for sort of G-forces you're going to pull as well. Oh well. I mean, that looks like a flight simulator control, doesn't it? But I suppose they've copied it.
Well, outside we have a sort of the cockpit part of it.
Yeah.
It's a plastic one.
Yeah.
Which we take out to effect, but it's the exact same as.
Yeah.
As that.
Yeah. Removed before flight. It's like the blinds on my motorhome say don't drive with them up. Yeah.
That's the only thing that's missing.
Yeah. Yeah. Might be a thumbnail.
At one time was Red One, as they call it, was the leader.
Yeah.
Taking part in a display for the Red Arrows.
Yeah.
Around about 2010 in Blackpool.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a bird strike. Oh. Went down this intake.
Yeah.
The engine cut out, but he was able to restart the engine and he did emergency landing.
Yeah.
When they came to examine it, there was catastrophic damage done to the hydraulic system and the engine.
Yeah.
And because it was coming to the end of its sort of flying, they said it's not worth repairing.
Yeah.
So it then went sort of into storage. Subsequently, we acquired it. Again, if you want to get into it.
Yeah. Oh, same thing. Oh. Wow. Doesn't help having that there. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. So your knees go down there. Goodness me. Yeah. No guns with this one, then?
No. Just smoke.
Yeah.
The seat comfortable? It doesn't look it.
The seat's all right.
It's
Yeah.
all right,
I mean,
is
I
it?
suppose you've got all the buckles and everything in the way, and it's cosy. And I think my head will be bumping against the canopy.
Well, you'll be able to lower your seat.
Yeah. Yeah. Can adjust the seat. But yeah, that is amazing.
Got a co-pilot in the back.
Well,
Have you? Oh yeah.
well the pilot would have a red flying suit.
Yeah.
The guy in the back is the blue one, which means he's the mechanic.
Yeah.
So they would fly off to wherever
Yeah.
they were going to do a display.
Yeah.
He'd be dropped off,
Yeah.
do the display, come back, and then he would
Oh,
check
right,
the aircraft
okay.
over to see. And then
So you take your own mechanic with you?
He wouldn't be in it when it was doing the display.
No.
The only time they sort of had anyone is if there was someone, a photographer, one of their
Yeah.
photographers.
Yeah. 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 He was probably lucky then, wasn't he?
Right, I'll leave you there then.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's the equivalent of a person getting an MBE.
Yeah.
Now, our chairman was awarded an MBE in just before COVID, sorry.
Yeah.
But obviously COVID came, so we couldn't go over.
No.
He was over in January this year,
Mhm.
and he received from Princess Anne.
Yeah.
He's a bit disappointed because he originally wanted to receive it from the Queen.
Queen. Yeah. Okay.
Have you been next door yet?
Yes.
Amazing.
Hi, Poppy. Hiya, babe. See you in a bit, yeah? You're a very good girl. Just keep it up.
This is tiny.
This is the Gazelle.
Yeah.
And this was used by the army, and would have been used for sort of observation, that type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah. It's got a huge sort of dome cockpit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, this one served down in sort of South
Yeah,
Armagh direction.
yeah, I was thinking, be danger of getting your head chopped off with that.
Oh, it's got a
Well,
big
it's only one
blade,
else.
isn't
It
it?
can't be more than
Yeah, no, once it's going, they
they'll lift
Go
up.
up,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. Wow.
And just behind it, that's a jet Providence. That's again, it's another training aircraft.
Yeah.
There was a propeller version of it prior to.
Yeah.
Oh. 2 seats in there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's right. You're pilot and trainer. Yeah.
I'm going to go into hangar 2. This is where these are all sort of display.
Yeah.
Present. This is where there's ongoing work in relation to some of our other aircraft.
Yeah.
Recently, we've just acquired 3 simulators and your virtual reality thing,
right,
the
okay.
Xboxes, you know, for the kids.
Okay.
So Rolls-Royce phoned us and said, listen, we've got a Phantom Spey engine, that's what this is.
Yeah.
It's only ever been used on sort of test beds.
Yeah.
Now we were going to scrap it, or you could have it.
Okay. Well,
So we
we'll have
took,
it then.
I mean, you talk about half a million quid worth of
Yeah, yeah.
machinery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very gamut. That's how it was when we got it. We acquired it from Doncaster Museum in Doncaster.
Yeah.
So obviously, started for 2011. They started work on it.
Yeah.
So again, this will go off aircraft carrier. Twin engine. Once airborne, it turned one of the engines off. Obviously, both propellers still.
Yeah.
Now, you see big bomb bay.
Yeah.
2,500 pounds of depth charges, torpedoes, conventional
Yeah.
bombs.
Too. We saw one of these. I'm trying to think which one it was. The one in Cumbria.
Solway Museum.
Solway Museum. That's right. They've got one there, haven't they? Yeah.
Now, a few years ago, they were putting the outside wing on because it's like in 3 sections.
Yeah.
I was working up at the top there because, apart from doing the guy, I worked just, well, it's 3 aircraft up there I'm working on at the minute.
Yeah.
But there was this almighty bang. What on earth was
no.
that? So it came down. A rod had snapped
Oh.
and dropped. Now, where it landed, there was a guy standing at that workbench.
Yeah.
Just
missed him.
Yeah. This lady here, she was a student at Queen's University doing a degree in aeronautical engineering.
Yeah.
She came down here for a bit of work experience. When she graduated, she was headhunted by Boeing. She works in the States here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And she says she shows it all.
Yeah.
Coming here,
Coming
getting
here,
hands dirty.
yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be moving these aircraft this way because they're going to be doing these doors.
Right.
That's what they used to look like.
So these are the older doors,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now the problem with the new doors that they fitted last year, there's gaps. There should be a seal between them.
Yeah. You can see the light coming in.
Yeah. Well, see when we had the storm a
Yeah.
few weeks ago,
Yeah.
it was all flooded. Maybe equivalent of the Hunter aircraft.
Yeah. So Seahawk, this one. Yeah.
Now this one, the Suez Crisis
Yeah.
in the 50s,
Yeah.
it took part in it and it has a kill to its name. It shot
Okay.
down the Egyptian.
Yeah.
Again, you can, if you want, you can get in.
Yeah. You want to have a look?
You can get
All
in.
right. Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's your. Just take that off. It's a pain. Doink. So this is 1950s then.
Yeah. Yeah, this was built by Shaw.
Oh, blimey. Cool, that takes a bit more getting into, that did. Wow. Air brakes. Yeah. Oh,
This
yeah.
used to be in the hangar next door, but we brought it in here because we're going to try and get the hydraulics working on it.
Yeah. Cool, that doesn't look too comfortable. And that's the Spitfire. This is a replica one, isn't it? Yeah.
But although
Yeah.
it says replica,
Yeah.
I prefer to
Yeah.
call it a first copy because it's a
Yeah.
mould
Okay.
of a real
Okay.
Spitfire.
Right.
Because to get a real Spitfire, you're talking 5.5 million. Just behind you, Sycamore helicopter. This served here, leading up to the trouble, so up to about 1970, and
Yeah.
it would have been like sort of SE rescue, that type of casualty back. But then when the trouble started, this went back to England, and the Wessex took over from it.
Okay. Again, you've got the bubble for the stretcher. Yeah.
That's just a wee gyrocopter that somebody donated to us. They wanted rid of it. This one, the Fairy Argus, this dates
You were asking what an Argus was the other day.
about 90. Well,
Yeah.
there is another Argus which is a transport aircraft.
Yeah.
We used to call it, well, sorry to be rude, but it was called the Flying Tin. Because it had like a wee on
Yeah.
the front of it, which was a nipple.
Yeah.
Full on to the
Yeah.
left. Right, yeah, so this, again, came to us as a bit of a wreck.
Yeah.
You've basically, you've got a metal cage, and then the rest is all wood
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
linen.
Yeah.
This is, I mean, feel clear of that.
Wow, it's nothing to it.
No.
It's like
No.
balsa wood.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So, our John, who works in there, who did the wings,
Yeah.
he was involved in doing this. Have you heard of the Women's Air Transport Auxiliary?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, so, during the war, they would fly aircraft from the manufacturer
Yeah. To the
where-
fields. Yeah. Yeah.
and then they would radio for this to come and pick them up.
Okay. So this was a taxi then.
Yeah, basically,
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It was used as a spotter aircraft, wasn't it, as well?
yeah.
Yeah.
You come in to spend your head.
Yeah. Well, it's quite comfy in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
I mean, it was some of
Very
the,
nice.
We had a guy who did it of all the upholsteries.
Yeah.
One or two of the guys said, "Can you come and do my car?"
Yeah, yeah.
But whenever
Fantastic.
always makes me laugh when I'm looking here because fuel gauge,
Up there.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's also one here,
Oh, that's handy, yeah.
and then the handbrake.
Handbrake, yeah.
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 Now there was a famous lady, Mary Ellis.
Yeah.
She was air transport. She died a couple of years ago. She's about 103 or something.
Yeah.
And she tells a story that she flew a Wellington bomber from the factory to an RAF camp. She got out and she says, "Could you take me up to the tower so I could radio for this to come and collect me?" And they said, "Well, we'll wait for the pilot." She said, "No, I am the pilot."
Well, I'm the pilot,
yeah.
So
You're right,
they
yeah.
searched the aircraft anyway.
Yeah.
But at the time, male pilots could fly maybe a Spitfire and a Hurricane,
Yeah.
or a Lancaster,
Yeah.
or a Wellington.
Yeah.
Mary Ellis could fly 76 different types.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She was incredible.
Yeah.
So Grumman Wildcat's an American aircraft, one of a batch given to the British when the Americans came into the war in 1942.
Yeah.
Served on HMS Searcher and took part in D-Day landings. After D-Day, it came here, for, as I say, for a bit of rest and a bit of training.
Yeah.
So Christmas Eve 1944, Peter Locke took off from here to do a wee training flight over Loch Ness.
Yeah.
900 feet up, he got an engine fire. Flames were all coming back, so he didn't want to land on land.
No.
He was going to ditch it in Loch Ness, but
Yeah.
he didn't make it. He only got as far as Portmore Loch, that little small one I showed you. So he ditched it there, and the local farmer saw what happened, came out and went in his wee boat and rescued him. It was always visible, you could always see it. It was like that. So this wing was under the water.
Yeah.
Now the water, as you see, wasn't that deep, but it's very deep salt. Now that wing is about 90% original.
Yeah.
This wing, which is this one,
Yeah.
that's about 3% original.
Original. Yeah.
And this bit here, what we call the wing stop, and the wing folding mechanism, that's all original. But the rest of this, myself and a couple of over the years,
Yeah.
have
I've been built here.
built it.
Those
Yeah.
have-
And my wife used to be a guide here, but she was also a nurse tutor. But I trained her up to help me rivet, because
Okay.
it takes two of you to do the
Yeah.
solid
Yeah,
riveting.
yeah. One each side, yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you look at the propeller, you'll just see a very faint line there.
Yeah.
That's where
There's a crack.
that's where they were bent. You know, when it hits the water.
Yeah.
So they've been repaired. Now, the original engine is in our engine bay, which is in the other hangar.
Yeah.
This was a similar engine that was put on to see if this, because this is all original, to see whether there was any, if it was bent, twisted,
yeah.
warped or anything.
Yeah.
No, it was all fine.
So it's straight.
And if you see the bicycle chain assembly, on the bulkhead there.
Yeah.
There's no hydraulics on this aircraft.
No.
So
chain driven.
So to raise the undercarriage, he's a little handle down to his right. He turns 25 to 30 times when he's taking off to raise the undercarriage.
Bit of exercise.
Yeah. So, let's say it lay there from 1944 to 1984 when we applied to the Ministry of Defence and we said, well, if we can get it out, could we have it? And they said yes. So we subsequently got it out with the help of the Army Lynx helicopter. They put it in Mr. Kane's field and it was on stilts, and Ray, our chairman, he sort of went up to it and he sort of was messing about, hit something with the hammer, and then the undercarriage just went, dropped down and locked in place.
Yeah.
And the wings fold and everything. But as you can see, over the years there was, duck hunters, vandals, of course all the instruments.
Oh, so some of it was sticking out of the water.
Oh yeah,
then. Yeah.
This is, you could almost see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously the first things to go were all the flight instruments.
Yeah.
But I have them all in a locked up.
Yeah.
This gives you an idea how the wings fold. They fold back.
Yeah.
The guy in the light blue jeans, that's Peter Locke.
Yeah.
And he was over 2 or 3 times. He settled in Canada after the war, but unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago. The guy sitting there, that's Mr. Kane, the farmer who rescued him. So, and these are just some of the artifacts. This is the original seat.
Yeah.
Now, this is what's called a Mark V.
Yeah.
There's only 3 of these in the world. There's this one.
Yeah.
The other 2 is in Seattle and Florida.
Mm-hmm.
None of them fly, but there are other Mark II aircraft that still fly.
Okay.
And so we got a seat from a different market. It does fit. That's the original lap strap.
Yeah.
That's the original ammunition box. And have you heard the saying, going the whole 9 yards?
Mm-hmm.
That's where it comes from. There's 9 yards.
9 yards of bullets there. Yeah.
Now, at this time when this was recovered, there was 1 gun was found.
Yeah.
And obviously the police took it away.
Yeah.
And they still have it. They won't let us have it.
So,
and funny enough,
yeah.
when I left the RAF, I was in the RUC here for 28 years.
Right.
So even I can't get it back. However, last year,
Yeah.
there was a guy in South Africa.
Yeah.
He phoned and he says, Ray,
Yeah.
he says, I've one of your guns. He says, some friends and I, we were flying over at the time when you were getting this out of the water. He says, you can have it back. We went back and a few days later, had a paddle about and found it and took it away.
Yeah. Oh,
He says, well, I'm living in South Africa, but the gun is in England.
yeah.
He says, if you can get someone to come over to England,
Yeah. And pick it up.
you can pick it up. And he said, but I have to I'll arrange to get it decommissioned.
Yeah.
So that's okay. So we had some guys coming over to get some bits and pieces for something else. So they had to go to Hereford. And you know what Hereford's for?
SAS, yeah.
SAS.
Yeah.
This guy was in the SAS and they were on a mission when they saw this. Now when he said they went back a couple of nights and how do we paddle?
Yeah.
They went back middle of the night with all the scuba gear, found the gun, took it away, and of course they didn't tell anybody because they were in the SAS.
No, you don't tell anybody.
Yeah.
That's great. Tucano.
Yeah, so
is the Wildcat the one that Bush flew then?
well, they had it's actually there was a martlet. And
Okay.
there was martlet in the Avenger,
Yeah.
but for some reason the British named it Wildcat.
Okay.
You know, but
Yeah.
they're all pretty
Similar
much
aircraft.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
So this lock May,
Yeah.
portable lock, that's where he ditched.
Yeah.
Just there,
Yeah.
as you see, it's fairly close shoulder.
Yeah.
Mr. Kane's farm was
And
there.
this, yeah. Sheesh.
Now, when we got it out of the water, it still had the arrestor hook on, you know, for
Yeah.
being on the aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
It was stolen.
Oh,
What are we going to do with that?
It's believed it was a member that took it
Oh
as
no.
a souvenir.
A souvenir.
Yeah. Now, a few years ago, because it was in the local paper, this is where this was.
Yeah. What a crazy thing to do.
2 or 3 years ago, I was chatting to somebody
Yeah.
on the tour, and he said, he said he knew who it was that took it.
Yeah.
and it was in his garage for a long time, but he passed away, and his wife had since moved away.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know what
Yeah,
happened.
what happened to it?
Oh, shame.
Now, we were talking about the ejection seat,
Yeah.
and that Mad Bernard Lynch, that's him.
Oh.
So at ground level,
Yeah.
and this is the aircraft.
Yeah.
Right.
This aircraft was only ever used by Martin Baker for testing ejection seats.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why there's no perspex in the rear canopy. 750 ejections came out of this over the time.
700?
750
Okay.
at the time. So
And that was just out of there.
yeah. So I say, of course, I mean the Gloucester Meteor originally was just a single seater.
Yeah.
First jet engine aircraft
Yeah.
that RAF
Yeah.
had to combat the German Messerschmitt
Yeah.
262, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we do about 390 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So this was actually at RAF Cosford Museum,
Yeah.
and we went over last year together.
Yeah.
I'm working on this aircraft and the Wildcat, so
Yeah.
I'm still got to put the tail
Yeah.
to get back together.
Okay.
Our Phantom. This is 007.
Yeah.
Now this Phantom, as well as flying with the Navy, it flew with the RAF. And it finished its life up at RAF Lucas
Yeah.
and was a gate guardian for 25 years.
Right.
So when we acquired it, you can imagine the state of it having sat at the main gate for 25 years
Yeah.
in all weather.
Yeah.
So it had been completely rubbed down,
Yeah.
and the undercarriage had to be sandblasted
Yeah.
to get the corrosion.
Yeah.
And the jet pipes and all this is titanium because of the heat coming
Yeah.
out from
Yeah.
it had all been painted over.
Oh.
See, trying to get paint off titanium. Absolute nightmare.
We saw a Phantom at Duxford, didn't we, many years ago? Yeah.
This is how the work's done.
This is the so-called master joiner who did
All
all
right.
that.
Okay.
Did
well
all
done.
that wood.
They did a very good job.
So if you want the door put on here,
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as it's in here.
Right, yeah, so when we acquired this, again, the other Alex, I say that he's the teachers, he had some of his students, and now we've got to canopies, we can operate the canopies, the wings, etc.
Yeah.
And also, when it was with the Navy, the nose leg would have to be extended. And the American aircraft carriers, because they're a lot bigger, so it would only go maybe about 6 feet, that would extend. With our aircraft carriers being smaller, that would extend about 9 feet. So this bit here, that would be up here somewhere. And it's in its takeoff attitude.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
the catapult,
Yeah.
would be tied down
Yeah.
and then fired.
Pointing up. Yeah.
We're the only museum in the world that does this.
Okay.
I say, but
Yeah.
event. Again, if you want to climb aboard, again, just mind your head on the canopy.
Yeah. It's a long way up this one. Yeah.
This was the first aircraft I worked on when I finished my training.
I'm sitting in the cockpit of a Phantom. Amazing. Look at this. Incredible. Yeah. Wow.
I remember when I was a very young boy, I was in the air training, opening day when I was in Sweden, and we went on summer camps to Southport, and I got to fly the chipmunk. That was my claim to fame at the time.
Yeah.
This was a local newspaper. They started a fund to raise enough money to build 6 Spitfires, one for each county. They raised enough for 17,
Yeah.
so they had the 6 counties, and others were named after towns and cities.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now the original Down Spitfire was based at Ballyhalbert, which is over to the Ards Peninsula, and around about 1943, the pilot was flying from there to fly down to St Angelo Barracks down in Enniskillen, and he crashed just outside Logan and was killed. He was 26. Been married 2 weeks.
Oh.
So, if you want to get even though this is a replica, everything in the cockpit is all genuine Spitfire.
Right. Okay. A bit more awkward to get in. Going down there. Wow. Oh. Right. You can feel this is a lot more basic inside, isn't it? So, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like it's a yoke, isn't it, now? Yeah.
The only thing missing off it is the trigger. Trigger button.
Yeah. See, yeah, I didn't see that, but yeah, that was probably the most important thing. Yeah. Yeah, I was just saying that was your view when you're taxiing.
Yeah.
The only way you can see anything is if you could lean out that way. So you're sort of guessing where you're going, really. I suppose you've got the wings, you can look where the wings are.
It was done in the colours of the Spitfire that would have been alongside this.
Yeah.
This, if you come around this side, it's in the Battle of Britain colours again. This was Inniskillen.
Inniskillen, yeah.
So this commemorates the Inniskillen Spitfire.
Yeah. Yeah, and the same similar colours, yeah. Yeah.
The Lynx.
The Lynx, yeah.
It did. I think it might still do. Holds the world speed record for a helicopter, which was 280 odd, I think. Miles an hour. Also, the first helicopter to do aerobatics.
Yeah. 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 Doesn't seem like a good idea in a helicopter, does it?
Now we have 3 vehicles there.
Oh, look.
There's a guy who looks after these.
Yeah.
Now, if you'd have been here at Christmas time,
Yeah.
this is a Matador.
Yeah.
All you would have seen would have been 4 wheels and 2 axles. Completely stripped down.
Yeah.
And the cab had to be sort of rebuilt.
Oh, yeah.
Peter, the joiner.
Look at the
So that's no refuelling.
look at the paint job. Yeah. That's some tow hitch.
Yeah. And the Coles crane. The guy Gary, this was actually over there,
Yeah.
and Gary had to move it about 3 feet this way,
Yeah.
so he was going forward because there's no power steering.
No.
And it took him about 15, nearly 20 minutes.
Yeah.
His sweat was dripping.
Yeah, no power steering
So,
then.
but they all work, the engines all,
Yeah.
they all run.
Yeah.
Right now, people can't say we're not cross community, so the next 3 aircraft are from the Irish Army Air Corps from down
Okay.
south.
Okay.
Now, if ever you see a documentary on the death of Lord Mountbatten,
Yeah.
you'll see this searching for
Okay.
the bodies.
Okay.
202 is the number,
Yeah.
and it recovered the body of one of the 14-year-olds that was killed.
Right.
You can get in if you want.
Right. It looks a little bit easier to get in.
So, yeah, so the Irish Army Air Corps, they use this again, sort of SE rescue type of thing. There's a wee winch just on the
Yeah.
other side there. And again, casualty evacuation.
Yeah. It's quite spacious in here. 3 seats across.
Now, in 1996, I think it was, there's a place called Loch Eskin, Donegal. And beside the loch, there's a beautiful hotel and a lot of wedding parties. And this particular day, they were out searching. Somebody apparently was missing on the loch. And they saw this wedding party having all the photographs taken on the shoreline.
Yeah.
And they thought, oh, it'd be great if we can swoop in behind. Before, after.
Oh no.
They were hovering there, they were too busy looking. They
Yeah.
went down too low and the water caught the
Caught the
tail
rotor.
and pulled them in.
Oh.
And the guy here, he was the barman from the hotel, saw what happened, stripped off, ran out and jumped in to
Yeah.
get the 2 crew out.
Wow.
They weren't in, just eagles. They've been here, the 2 crew,
Yeah.
they say, mechanical failure. No, it
No, it
wasn't.
wasn't.
I've seen the videos.
You messing about.
I've seen the videos.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, it's amazing being able to sit in these aircraft. Yeah. I mean, you would have had a tremendous view out of here, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You could take this Grand Canyon or something, wouldn't you? Yeah.
There was somebody, one of our guys who works on the Sheeprints, he's one of the electricians, that they've got lights and all that work.
Yeah.
And he said, no, he said, I think I'll go and put lights in the Wessex. I said, no, you won't.
Yeah.
I said, because you
Doesn't
didn't
need
fly
it.
with lights. And I said,
No.
you take the whole ambience away from it. It'd be like going and putting an air freshener in, so you couldn't smell all the oil and the dirt,
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
sweaty squats
Yeah.
that used to be in there.
Yeah. Oh.
All of that.
Yeah. So that was what you were flying. You got the 3 controls there.
When I actually, I was on the Phantoms first, and then I went to Germany, and I was on the Harriers.
Yeah.
When I came back and I converted onto the Wessex, I had to go to Sherburn to do the manufacturing
Yeah.
customs, manufacturing
Yeah.
course. So I learned all about the theory of, and they always said, there's 2 things that can't fly, a helicopter and a bumblebee.
Yeah. Just tell me what everything does here. That's
Right. Okay, so
you got your
you're on the ground.
yeah.
Now, your rudder pedals,
Yeah.
well, they control the rotor,
Right.
and that's where the torque is.
So that's
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
So that swings.
yeah.
So,
So you're controlling it with
if
that.
you want, when you
Yeah.
want to lift up,
This.
you
Yeah.
you hold this nice and steady, and
Yeah.
then you pull up on the.
Yeah.
that
So you got
one.
to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now some of
Yeah.
them, depending on the
Yeah.
you would have to twist to
Yeah.
increase the revs,
Yeah.
and then you'd pull it up, and the idea is, if you imagine the rotor's going round
Yeah.
like a disc,
Yeah.
we call it a disc. So
Yeah.
as you put increase, and then the blades, so they
They bend. Yeah.
bend further.
Yeah.
That lifts you up.
Yeah.
Then just like a normal aircraft, you push forward,
Push forward to go forward.
back
to back,
and
yeah.
then bank, and obviously you would use your rudder
Yeah.
pedals
To balance it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you it's
So once you've got up to the,
it's all limbs in action, isn't
so
it? Yeah.
once you've got up to your height, you can
Yeah.
lower that back down a bit, you know,
Yeah.
if you want
Yeah.
to come down.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So in
Yeah.
effect, this disc, if you imagine that disc, so you're tilting
Yeah.
the disc
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it. When I working on the West, it's obviously over here because I got to fly a lot in it, you know, riding shotgun. So
Yeah. Yeah. Never been in a helicopter. No.
Fouga Magister.
Okay.
It was a fighter, so you'd have guns here.
Yeah.
Not a call for fighter jets down south.
No.
So, but apparently it was used for training, and also they had a display team called the Silver Swallows.
Okay.
Hence,
Yeah. They swallowtails. Yeah.
that's as much as I can tell you about
All
this.
right.
There's a guy.
It's huge, long wings. Aren't
There's
they?
a guy from Dublin who he comes up with it. He looks after it. It's this
Okay.
thing. So the final one really is the Puma,
Yeah.
and this took over from the Wessex.
Yeah.
Again, if you want to.
Yeah.
Now this one was Treble 2 Squadron, and it's called Trembling Treble 2.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a small vibration in it. They could never figure out.
Where? Why? Yeah. Yeah. Actually left the gun in there. Yeah.
Not very comfortable.
No, I don't think these were meant to be comfortable, but
They've got a cushion on the seat.
yeah, they've got a cushion, haven't they?
Yeah, well, they can be a bit precious to pilots.
Yeah. Poor old squaddies. Yeah. You don't get much of a window either, do you? But you do get a gun.
Well, when on the Wessex, when the troubles first started, we had one of those in one of the side windows, but we had to remove it. We were told it was too aggressive. So that turned out well for Northern Ireland.
Yeah,
didn't it?
yeah. Yeah, don't want to be too aggressive. There's grief. Yeah. Chimney Rock Mountain B-26 Marauder crash.
Yeah.
That's a bit bent, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's what the Wildcat propeller was a bit like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And each aircraft that's being restored has a team,
Yeah.
and these are the team leaders. And they're members of the team. So the Wildcat, that's me, and that was when my wife was helping. And then the Meteor. So I've sort of two at the minute.
Two you're working on, yeah.
Although I was helping on the that Tucano.
Library, yeah. Oh wow.
And this is normally the warmest place in the hangar when the library.
Yeah.
Now our oldest volunteer retired about 3 months ago, and he celebrated his 100th birthday. And he was English.
He retired 2 months ago.
And but he still comes in.
Yeah.
Now, Fred, he was in the RAF. He joined when he was 19. And his trade was radar and radio. And he was seconded to the Dutch Air Force because they didn't have any. There was him, 3 other English lads, the rest were all Dutch. Didn't speak a word of Dutch anyway. But he set up, you probably have never heard of Donegal Corridor. Remember I was showing you Lochern where the flying boats went? Well, during the war, because Southern Ireland were neutral, and there was a big secret deal done between them and the British, whereby there was a 10-mile wide corridor over Donegal, so the flying boats could just go straight into North Atlantic rather than having to go all the way around. Fred set that up. They said, Fred, you're being posted to Nuts Corner. Is that near Manchester? He was from Newmarket. And he said, no, Fred, you'll find out when you get off the aircraft. Came over and he married a local girl. Then at the end of the war, towards the end of the war, he was in India. Then he left that and he trained as a librarian. So he used to look after our library, which used to be down the bottom end of the hangar, on his own, and also his radio room. And he paid for himself out of his own money. The computer and big screen was linked into Belfast International Control Tower. So he'd have all the aircraft on, and you could tell them who they were, where they were living. So we knew Fred was coming to retire, so right, we need to get someone to sort of take over from Fred. So they got someone to sort of be apprentice, as we call it. So Fred, after about 6 months, how's the apprentice get? He says, the young fella's doing grand. The young fella's 80. Fred outlived and he passed away. So they now have 2 people doing, look at that, and 4 people in here.
4 people in here. Yeah.
7-inch block.
So it was even bigger than that then? It wasn't just this, it was...
Yeah, no, it was much bigger.
Okay, H block.
In 3/4 of a mile, turn left onto Halftown Road.
These 2 well-known roads run parallel to each other for nearly a mile in West Belfast. Religious tension had been erupting into violence there since the 1840s, so when the Good Friday Agreement of 1998 was introduced, it made massive changes to Belfast.